So here we are coming to the end of 2025. I'm Spencer and I'm going to be taking you through the last big update of the year that ElectricalOM are releasing, and we're going to look at all the new features and information that we have available for you. So let's start with the project info and options. We're going to go in and we're going to see first of all around our selectivity checks. We've added some new options in the energy-based selectivity, so we can take a look at both the maximum and minimum fault levels now at our endpoint, where we were only offering option one or the other before. The next thing to look at here is under our conductor sizing options. You'll notice that we have a new option for the consideration of harmonic content when it comes to our design currents. Here, if I tick this box, before we've had harmonic current consideration for things like voltage drop, but now this will also affect our design current. So if I tick this box here, I'm going to take you to one of our circuits here. And in the circuit edit menu, you'll see as we make changes to our harmonic level here, I increase this up and down, you'll be noticing that also our design current is being affected accordingly based upon that too. The next thing is we've made some improvements to the cable information related to SSEN cables and bunched wire conductor systems. So here, if we go into this one here, I've pre-set up this WAVECON system. And this specifically relates to things around what is in the SSEN standards. So for example here, if I increase this conductor to be over 10 meters, for example here 100 meters, and we're in a duct system, it will add now an additional correction factor as per laid out in that standard. We have also here added in the additional options for the bentonite. So if you do have the duct systems filled with that, you don't need to take into account that consideration. So if we tick that box there, it will remove the additional factor that's applied. Also with this, it does now also add a restriction to the length. As within the standard, if you go over anything 100 meters, so for example 101 meters here, it will now populate warnings relevant to the fact that is not an acceptable form of installation as per the requirement. Now, also in addition to what we added on the selectivity for the energy-based checks, we have also improved the reports around this as well. For example here, I've generated here a selectivity study results, and if we go down, any devices that we place in that have selectivity tables from the manufacturer, we're also now identifying in the report specifically if they have achieved either partial selectivity or total selectivity with those two. In this version, we've also increased the capability of line supplies within the software. Here you can see I've put in a single phase line supply. And if we go in, you'll notice that on distribution boards now, on the circuit edit menu, we're able to select a particular phase. The phases that will become available will be based upon what phase is the next one along within there. So for example, if I go back to our supply here, I'm just going to copy this one for now onto way L3. You'll see that I can choose the next phase along, make that a line supply with. Naturally, as before, this is adjusting for the relevant voltages and those sorts of things there. But we've also added a new layer of calculation within the software relevant to the vectors. Now, we've also made some small improvements to 110 volt center tap systems. So if you're doing site temporary supplies or site construction supplies, those sorts of things. Previously, when setting up your final circuits, you would have had to have manually set your disconnection times for 5 seconds in order to get the compliant disconnection times in relevance to table 41.6. But now if we go into the circuit edit menu, we've more automated this process, so the disconnection times are being selected accordingly based upon the fact that you've set up that system. There is some new functionality for final circuits. Here, for example, you can see on this final circuit that I've populated here, I have a protected device which has been installed at the load end. This option can be found now within the circuit edit menu. You will set up your protected device as you usually would. And if you go to the other option here, you will note that there is a checkbox just here for the position of devices protection against overload. And by ticking this box, it'll move the protected device to the load end of that circuit rather than the device side. Now, similar to the circumstance with the transformer supplies, also with our lighting columns, lighting supplies, if you are working in the highways environment where you're installing to specific special locations as they are within BS7671, we also now have the option to install or obviously identify that that is being installed in a highways based environment, and the disconnection times are corrected within the software automatically then, again, instead of having to go through that manual process that would have been necessary before. We have improvements to earthing selection within the software. Here I have preset on this final circuit. If we go to the earthing tab just here, if I have a separate earthing conductor to my cable, for example here I've got an armoured cable with a separate earth run. If we specify the type of material, whether it's a copper or an aluminium conductor, we now also get an additional option relevant to whether or not that conductor is a PVC coated conductor or an XLP conductor. That's also going to feed further into the software where we're doing calculations for the K factors and earth size and those sorts of things going in there. We've been making some small steady improvements to the solar inverters within the system. We have more updates for this particular one planned in the future. When it comes to identifying relevant information to MPPTs, we have now also added an option where those MPPTs have no reverse current flow between the MPPTs. We've also added now new calculations for non-adiabatic disconnection for our phase calculations. These are based upon 7454 and 60949 and are related to the fact that we have disconnection times that are happening in excess of 5 seconds. Another fully new feature within the software here, if we go to our functions menu, and we go down and we select for our materials costs, so where we're looking at bill of quantities, bills of materials, there is a new tab here where we have MISC and spares. This allows you to identify particular items, part numbers, add equipment typing to those, and then prices and the number of units that you intend to use in this particular project. They can be selected individually, so then they can also be saved for future projects where you need to use those costs related items as well. Finally, if we just go to the reports here, go into the selections and our general options, we do have a new option here, which is relevant to excluding the length from your calculations and reports. Here, if I just go to something like my analytical calculations at the moment, you will see that under the relevant section here, you will see the length of the conductor that has been placed in for a particular circuit. When we go into the selections, we will be able to make the selection, generate our reports, and any of the reports where length is a piece of information that will show, it will no longer be in those particular areas there. So we will still see things, information like the maximum length based upon the available volt drop for that particular circuit, but the physical length you've used in your design will no longer appear there. There have been, as always, a number of smaller improvements working on the functionality, improving the speed of the software, as well as working with our manufacturers, as we always do, in relevance to the latest information for protected devices and conductors in there as well. I'd like to thank you all for listening throughout the year and coming and seeing these videos. We do hope you enjoy the new year, and I shall say Happy Christmas and Happy New Year from everybody. Codex Software. Well, thank you.